we are going to trace a deeply personal family history right through the absolute heart of some of the most monumental shifts in world history. We are looking at the fascinating journey of the Al-Rowini family, and we'll be mapping their intimate microhistory directly against the grand macrohistory of the great Islamic conquest. And let me tell you, the timeline of this family is nothing short of incredible. Just look at this. It's cinematic, right? This image of a knight on horseback instantly sets the epic scale of our journey. It represents a lineage stretching back well over a millennium. It's such a powerful reminder for us that history isn't just a list of dates and empires. It's about the very real people, the families who rode in those armies, who settled in new lands, and passed down their names through generations. But hey, before we rewind 1,000 years, we're actually going to begin in the modern day with a pretty mind-blowing anecdote. Imagine being in a supermarket in Tripoli, Libya, going about your day, and suddenly you hear a cashier call out the name Reweny. This chance encounter sparked a conversation that revealed an entirely different branch of the family. And there was a wildly similar moment at a passport control desk in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, where the officer stamping the passport happened to share the exact same surname. It was this sudden realization of a vast, scattered diaspora that really prompted the deep historical dive we're exploring today. Okay, so here's our roadmap for this explainer. 1. Roots of the Reweny family. 2. The Great Islamic Conquests. 3. Marching into Egypt. 4. Expanding across 3 continents. And 5. Settlements and modern legacy. All right, let's jump right into section 1. Roots of the Reweny family. Origins and leaders. To really understand this family's journey, we've got to start with a brilliant man from the Quraysh tribe named Amr ibn al-As. The sources describe him as this broad-chested, highly intelligent merchant with a deeply commanding physical presence. What's super fascinating about him is his complex background. His mother was actually once a captive of war from the Anza tribe, yet he rose to immense prominence. He embraced Islam in the 8th year of the Hijra and completely transformed from a shrewd trader into one of history's most formidable military commanders. Which brings us to an absolutely brilliant anecdote from his merchant days. Long before he commanded any armies, a young Amr was visiting Alexandria down in Egypt. The locals there were celebrating a Roman festival that involved a game with a ball, kind of similar to modern baseball or rugby. Well, according to local superstition, whoever caught the ball when it was struck would eventually rule them. So guess what? The ball flies into the crowd and lands smack in the lap of Amr ibn al-As. The locals totally laughed it off, thinking, no way is a simple Bedouin merchant ever going to rule over Alexandria. Yet, as we know, history definitely had other plans. Moving on to section 2, the Great Islamic Conquests, Faith versus Might. The historical contrast here is just staggering. On one side, you have the Islamic armies. They were relatively few in number, entirely lacked sophisticated supply chains, and survived mostly on donations and the spoils of war. On the other side, the Roman and Persian empires. We're talking massive, deeply wealthy, highly trained forces, literally the ancient equivalents of modern superpowers. It was profound faith and incredible morale that allowed these smaller forces to march against such absolute juggernauts. And the sheer speed of this expansion, it was breathtaking. In 14 AH, you have the Battle of Ajinaden. By 15 AH, the conquest of Jerusalem. And then, from 16 to 20 AH, the Great March on Egypt. Now here's where it ties in. The Reweny tribe was directly participating right there within these Levant armies. They were moving through the region, taking Jerusalem, and eventually setting their sights all the way toward North Africa. Which leads us to section 3, Marching into Egypt, a strategic expansion. The strategy here was just unbelievably bold. Amr wanted to free Egypt from oppressive Roman taxation and secure its massive agricultural wealth. Step 1, he managed to get permission from Caliph Umar. Actually, scratch that. It was a very hesitant permission. Then, step 2, he initiated this stealthy night march toward Al-Arish with a meager force of only 4,000 troops. By moving that quickly, he outpaced the political hesitation back home and successfully secured key early locations like El Farma and Bilbis, deliberately treating the local Coptic populations gently to win their crucial support against the Romans. To connect this grand military campaign back to our microhistory for a second, consider this. Today, there is a square right in Al-Arish, literally named Al-Rowini Square. It was named by chance after a modern engineer from the Al-Rowini family who worked there. It's such a cool physical modern anchor of this ancient conquest, a family name returning to the exact same sands their ancestors marched across over 1,000 years ago. The whole Egyptian campaign ultimately culminated in the grueling siege of the massive Babylon fortress. Finally, by April 641 AD, after getting reinforcements and enduring a huge standoff, the Arab forces broke through. The Roman forces had to surrender and evacuate, effectively busting wide open the gateway to Alexandria and the rest of the super-fertile Nile Delta.
Next up, Section 4, expanding across 3 continents, a global footprint.
It is honestly staggering when you zoom out and look at the map. The forces pushed aggressively through North Africa, Libya, Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco. Then by 92 under Tariq ibn Ziyad, they crossed into Andalusia, modern-day Spain and Portugal. In what's relatively a blink of an eye historically, these campaigns reach as far as the Pyrenees Mountains bordering France. They laid siege to Vienna in Austria centuries later and stretched all the way east to the borders of China and India. And the Reweny name, it spread right alongside this massive historical wave. But history isn't just about expansion. It's also about displacement. 3 million. That's a massive number. That is the estimated number of Muslims later expelled from Andalusia after centuries of rule there. It was a tragic, massive displacement, forcing people to flee back across the sea to North Africa and beyond. And it was chaotic events like this that further scattered specific families, like the Rewaninas, pushing them into entirely new territories across the globe. Let's bring it home with Section 5, Settlements and Modern Legacy, the family today.
So where did everyone end up settling down? Well, we can trace specific family branches right into the Egyptian Delta. They settled in places like Al-Hamraoui and Kafr al-Sheikh. And interestingly, later migrations to towns like Dafina were actually strategic moves. Family members fleeing political strife, persecution, or land disputes. Other branches put down roots in Al-Kanka, near Cairo, and cities like Damanhur and Alexandria, deeply embedding themselves right into the fabric of Egyptian society.
Over the centuries, this family evolved beautifully, adapting to their environments. They transitioned from the soldiers and knights of those early conquests into prominent, highly educated professionals. They became everything from respected merchants and government officials to modern engineers and even military pilots, like Captain Farid Al-Rowini. Basically, they traded their ancient swords for the tools of modern community building. As we wrap up this explainer, I really want you to think about the incredible efforts taken to document this single family's journey. From the harsh deserts of the Arabian Peninsula, to the giant fortresses of Egypt, the coasts of Spain, and straight into modern professions. It begs a powerful question for all of us. Knowing the rich tapestry of your own past, what microhistory are you actively preserving for the future? Thank you so much for joining me on this journey, and I really hope it sparks a curiosity to uncover your own history.